welcome to today's video. This one particularly goes out to one of my students, Paul, hence the Seattle Mariners hat, which I knew you'd appreciate. I'm going to do this video on broken chords. I'm doing it on a piano so that you can get the treble clef and the bass clef rolled in there, but don't think of broken chords as particularly being a piano thing. It's just a music thing. I'm often asked how many instruments do I play. I say I play one. I play musical instrument. If I want it to sound like guitars, then I will play guitars. If I want it to sound like piano, then I'll play piano. If I want it to sound like a bass, I will play bass. Sound like drums, that sort of idea. So this is applicable to any pitched instrument. A broken chord is taking a chord. So let's say I put this in semi-breves. And I'm going to use a D minor chord. And E minor rather than the E minor. And I'm going to write it in as you're going. The reason I'm going to write it in is so that you can see it happening and see it being formed in front of you. I know a lot of my students like that, so hopefully you're one of those. We can see the D minor chord here. What I can then do is I can invert it. I'm going to copy exactly the same information across to here. I'm going to take the bottom note, I'm going to press Control up, and take exactly the same note, but invert it or flip it. So to invert something is to flip it over. So I'm going to take that D minor chord here in its root position and then flip it once, or make it into its first inversion. I'm going to do the same thing again because we can actually invert these chords twice. Highlight the bottom note, click Control and up, and that gives you exactly the same notes. All I've done is move the same note up the octave, which means my D minor has gone from root position to first inversion, now to second inversion. And if I were to flip it one more time, it would go back to the root position. So I can take all of this, copy it, and place it in the bass clef. So a wee bit grumbly down there, but exactly the same information. Now, for reasons of partially reading, but in order to get the phrasing right, I'm actually going to transfer into a different time signature. So I'm going to go into, do I have 6/8 here? Yeah, there we are. So I'm going to put it into 6/8. I'm going to take this first chord, this root position chord. So I'm going to now, let's pull that down. So let's do that in quavers. So we're going to get these 3 quavers here, move it across to here. So this gives us, copy that, need to move these 2 notes up, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a dotted crotchet to end off the phrase. So this gives me of course useful if you want to pass exams. That's one of the reasons that we do them. But actually quite a lot of the time, we were doing, when I was in the band, we used to do a Muse song. And this kind of it gives you this neoclassical thing that came out so keyboard and either exactly the same format as I've just done. Or just, and then play around with the pattern. But this pattern here is quite useful. So that's in the treble clef and also in the bass clef. The same rhythm here, although I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit. So now I'm doing the same thing as we've done going up the way, but we're now doing it in reverse order. Which actually I can highlight what it is that I'm doing, and then if I'd hit retrograde, then it would have reversed the same pattern, but I was already doing it, so I thought I'd just carry on. Okay, so now we've got we're in the left hand. I was going to say, well, I hope my wife's laughter doesn't ring through in the video there, but actually I kind of hope that it does, because it's always nice to have people around the house and having a good time. So what's happening here is that the fingering that you're going to use here is, let's see if I can do this as maybe a Control L thing. 1, 3, 5. So to balance the hand properly, I've got the 3 in the middle of my hand here. So in the root position, 1, 3, 5. Then I'm going to move my hand up into the first inversion and play 1, 2. This balances the hand better. And then 5. So there's always going to be 1s and 5s on the outside. Let's see if I can pull this out of the way. And then up the top, 1, 3, and 5. So you're going to be landing on the D with your third finger, and the same fingering is going to be reversed down here. In the left hand, the outsides are going to be 1s and 5s again, obviously with your hand being I would call it symmetrical, but I'm pausing slightly because there was a parent of a student once who said it's actually not symmetrical, and he gave me some sort of scientific word for what your hands actually are, which is kind of like symmetrical, but it's a special type of symmetry. It's fun, the stuff that you learn in lessons. It's always good. So anyway, I would say your hands are symmetrical. So rather than going 1, 3, 5, you're actually going 5, 3, 1. And then we're going to go 5, 3, 1 again. And then we're going to go up the top in the second inversion if you go 5, 2, 1. So this gives me and that's basically that. There's a couple of different things that you learn from chords, a bunch of technique going on in there, also learning individual notes. But if you're learning them as the chordal inversions, there's a whole load you can do in terms of doing your own accompaniments to singers or bands that you're working with, and understanding the music that you're working with. I was working with somebody who's doing a trumpet theme by Henry Purcell, and there was some interesting inversions going on in the left hand, which once they understood what was happening there, the student can play more fluently, which is ultimately why you understand music. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you subscribe to it, and then particularly hit the notification button, that means that when I have ideas, then you can have ideas. Let me generate them, and I post stuff pretty much daily, a little less over the weekend, but every day of the week. So subscribe and hit the notifications button. And at time of viewing this, at time of doing this video, I've got 38 subscribers, which is great. It's nice to know that my teaching is reaching people. Share it and it will reach more people. Obviously, I've got more pupils than the 38 that I've got on the channel at the moment. So I know I'm reaching people in my own studio, but if you want me to reach you where you are, if you want me to reach your friends and your family, then share this stuff with them. I'll see you in the next video.